Welcome back, dear students, once again to your channel. In this video, I shall be continuing with your short story, The Paper Menagerie. This is going to be the final video on The Paper Menagerie, and without any further ado, let's get started. But before I begin, you know what's coming up next? Yes, you've guessed it right. If you have been following my videos and you feel they are helpful enough to help you score marks in your exams, please do not forget to give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It shall keep me motivated. All right. So, without any further ado, let's get started. This is from your Prism, a collection of ISC short stories, and we had stopped at that position where Jack comes across that letter from the mother, which was written in Chinese. Page 34, that is. This is first, second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph. I went to the computer to check the internet. Today was Qingming. So that was the irony. So he gets the letter on the day of the Qingming, and Qingming was the Chinese festival of the dead. It was believed that people who are long lost and gone come down on earth on this particular day to, come closer to their near and dear ones. So today was Qingming, and today only Jack comes across this letter. That is the irony. I took the letter with me downtown, where I knew the Chinese two buses stopped. I stopped every tourist asking, Ning hui du zuing zima? That is, can you read Chinese? Because Jack had never learned Chinese. He had always hated that identity which made him a Chinese. I hadn't spoken Chinese in so long that I wasn't sure if they understood. A young woman agreed to help. We sat down on a bench together and she read the letter to me aloud. The language that I had tried to forget for years came back. This is the irony. So long he had always wanted to get rid of every marker that would make him a Chinese. This language always played a key role in the story. We have seen that. He always wanted to get rid of this Chinese language, and it is this Chinese language now that he is running after. The language that I had tried to forget for years came back, and I felt the words sinking into me through my skin, through my bones, until they squeezed tight round my heart. So, this is his conscience working on him. This is his guilty consciousness that is making him choke. Son, and the letter begins. Son, we haven't talked in a long time, so this means that there was a lot of communication gap. Son, we haven't talked in a long time. You're so angry when I try to touch you that I'm afraid. So even that touch is missing. And I think maybe this pain I feel all the time now is something serious. What pain is she talking about? She's not only talking about the emotional pain of getting separated from the son who was so dear to her is now manifested in physical discomfort. All right. Then, so I decided to write to you now because she was unable to communicate with her the last few days, before, she was hospitalized. The son refused to talk to her. So she resorted to writing. So I decided to write to you. I'm going to write in the paper animals I made for you that you used to like so much. The animals will stop moving when I stop breathing. So even this she knew that once she dies, the animals will become lifeless. But if I write to you with all my heart, I'll leave a little of myself behind on these papers in these words. So, language, you see, separated Jack from his mother. However, she herself resorts to language to establish her identity as a woman, not as the wife of the father, not as the mother of Jack, nor as a Chinese lady, but as a human being, as a woman. Then, if you think of me on Qingming, when the spirits of the departed are allowed to visit their families, you will make a parts of myself I leave behind come alive too. The creatures I made for you will again leap and run and pounce, and maybe you will get to see these words then. Because I have to write with all my heart, I need to write to you in Chinese. So the mother makes it a point to make Jack realize that she needs to pour her heart out, and it is going to be extremely difficult to pour her heart out in English because she's not comfortable with the syntax. She needs to go to her roots to express herself. So that is why she is writing in Chinese. All this time, I still haven't told you the story of my life. So now, going back into the past. All this time, I still haven't told you the story of my life. When you were little, I always thought I would tell you the story when you were older so you could understand. But somehow that chance never came up. Because by the time Jack grew up, he became a teenager. Jack had already moved away from his mother. I was born in 1957 in Sigulu village, Hebei province, when your grandparents were both from very poor peasant families with few relatives. Only a few years after I was born, the Great Famine struck China, during which 30 million people died. The first memory I have was waking up to see my mother eating dirt so that she could fill her belly and give the last bit of flour for me. So, such was her childhood, spent in extreme poverty when the famine had struck the region, and they were so poor that they could not afford meals. The mother would, feed herself. The mother's mother, that is, Jack's grandmother would feed herself with dirt so that Jack's mother could eat something. Things got better after that. Sigulu is famous for its ZZ pepper craft, and my mother taught me how to make paper animals and give them life. This was practical magic in the life of the village. We made paper birds to chase grasshoppers away from the fields and paper tigers to keep away the mice. For Chinese New Year, my friends and I made red pepper dragons. I'll never forget the sight of all those little dragons zooming across the sky overhead, holding up strings of exploding firecrackers to scare away all the bad memories of the past year. You would have loved it. So she is giving a detailed description of how her childhood was to Jack. Why? So that Jack could understand the mother. Jack could understand the woman that she was. Jack could understand the human that she was. The primary conflict between Jack and the mother was that they could not understand each other. So, this is the last desperate attempt on the mother's part to make her son realize or understand who she was. Because apart from her son, she had nobody. Then came the Cultural Revolution in 1966. Neighbor turned on neighbor and brother against brother. Someone remembered that my mother's brother, my uncle, had left for Hong Kong back in 1946 and became a merchant there. Having a relative in Hong Kong meant we were spies and enemies of the people. That was the general belief. And we had to be struggled against in every way. Your poor grandmother, she couldn't take the abuse and threw herself down a well. Then some boys with hunting muskets dragged your grandfather away one day into the woods and he never came back. So, at a very tender age, the mother had become orphan. There I was, a 10-year-old orphan. The only relative I had in the world was my uncle in Hong Kong. I snuck away one night and climbed onto a freight train. Freight train is your goods carrying train. Hmm. Going south. Down in Guangdong province, a few days later, some men caught me stealing food from a field. When they heard that I was trying to get to Hong Kong, they laughed. It's your lucky day. Our trade is to bring girls to Hong Kong. So they were human traffickers. So she was trafficked also, sold off. They hid me in the bottom of a truck along with other girls and smuggled across the border. We were taken to a basement and told to stand up and look healthy and intelligent for the buyers. Families paid the warehouse a fee and came by to look us over and select one of us to adopt, as if women were commodities sold in the warehouse. So people would come and select which one they would prefer and take these women. So they were treated as commodities, objectified. I the Chin family picked me up to take care of their boys. I got up every morning at 4 to prepare breakfast. I fed and bathed the boys, I shopped for food, I did the laundry and swept the floor. I followed the boys around and did their bidding. At night I was locked in a cupboard in the kitchen to sleep. If I was slow or did anything wrong, I was beaten. If the boys did anything wrong, I was beaten. If I was caught trying to learn English, I was beaten. So basic dignity as a human was also denied to her. All right. Why do you want to learn English? Mr. Chin asked. You want to go to the police? We'll tell the police that you are a mainlander illegally in Hong Kong. That is, you are an immigrant. They would love to have you in their prison. 6 years I lived like this. One day, an old woman who sold fish to me in the morning market pulled me aside. She told me about American men who wanted Asian wives. If I can cook, clean, and take care of my American husband, he will give me a good life. It was the only hope I had. So that is when she decided to get married in order to escape such harsh life. And that was how I got into the catalog with all those lines and met your father. It is not a very romantic story, but it is my story. So the mother had a marriage which was not of love, but of convenience. That is why there was so much of estrangement in the family. In the suburbs of Connecticut, I was lonely. Your father was kind and gentle with me because he never bet her up. And I was very grateful to him because he fed her also with food. But that idea of love was somewhere missing. It was a marriage of convenience. But no one understood me, and I understood nothing. So there was no emotional connect. But then you were born. I was so happy when I looked into your face and saw shades of my mother, my father, and myself. I had lost my entire family, all of Sigulu, everything I ever knew and loved. But there you were. Your face was proof that they were real. I hadn't made them up. Now I had someone to talk to. I would teach you my language, and we could together remake a small piece of everything that I loved and lost. When you said your first words to me in Chinese that had the same accent as my mother and me, I cried for hours. When I met the first ZZ animals for you and you laughed, I felt there were no worries in the world. So through Jack, the mother tried to return to her roots. You grew up a little and now you could even help your father and me talk to each other. So he would work as the mediator. I was really at home now. I finally found a good life. I wished my parents could be here so that I could cook for them. So before Jack had, matured to, translate things for the mother and father, there was again communication gap. This is something that you need to note. So Jack tried to bridge the gap between the mother and the father also through Jack. Jack acted as the medium. I finally found a good life. I wished my parents could be here so that I could cook for them and give them a good life too. But my parents were no longer around. You know what the Chinese think is the saddest feeling in the world? That you wish to serve your parents. You're capable to serve your parents, to take care of your parents, but your parents are not there around. It's for a child to finally grow the desire to take care of his parents, only to realize that they were long gone. So, this is the tragedy of the mother, and it is intermingled with irony. Tragedy of the mother and irony in and for Jack's life. Son, I know that you do not like your Chinese eyes, which are my eyes. I know that you do not like your Chinese hair, which is my hair. But can you understand how much joy your very existence brought to me? Desperate pleading of the mother. And can you understand how it felt when you stopped talking to me and won't let me talk to you in Chinese? She felt what? She felt very, very betrayed. I felt I was losing everything all over again. Okay, so this idea of betrayal comes in. Why don't you talk to me, son? The pain makes it hard to write. The young woman handed the paper back to me. I could not bear to look into her face because he was ashamed of being so reckless in life, of not being understanding enough for his mother. Without looking up, I asked for help in tracing out the character for I on the paper below Mom's letter. I wrote the character again and again on the paper, intervening my pen strokes with her words. So, this is Jack's desperate attempt now to touch the mother, to come closer to the mother. She had written I in the letter somewhere. And remember that incident where the mother was telling Jack that if I say I, it comes from here. If I say it English, it comes from here. So now, since I was written, I was written in Chinese in the new letter, Jack was desperately putting his pen across over and over again, circling the figure. Why? This was his symbolic attempt to go to the mother, to reach the mother's heart. But alas, it's too late. The young woman reached out and put a hand on my shoulder. She was sympathetic. Then she got up and left, leaving me alone with my mother, as in with the letter. Following the creatures, I refolded the paper back into Lahu. I cradled him in the crook of my arm, and as he purred, we began to walk home again. So, this is the reconstruction of Jack's identity. Through this letter, Jack reconnects to his past, to his roots. He gets that sense of belonging. All right, this is the story of very, very emotional and poignant story. And I have already discussed the several themes that run across this story, this idea of mother son relationship, familial estrangement, cultural binaries, all these. Okay, so the story is extremely poignant and very, very heart touching story. I hope I could do justice to the story by providing you a very simple and lucid explanation. If these videos help you to score marks, do not forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video really soon. Till then, have lots of fun and take very good care of your health. Goodbye.